What's going on, you guys? I've been wanting to make a video for this for a while. Being a spirit main myself, and just a kind of a guide to not only help for people that want to main spirit and play spirit a little bit more effectively, but play killer as well. Um, I've been playing spirit for a very long time. She probably has a majority of my sacrifices, majority of my time. I really wish they would show hours of how long you've played killers, because I swear she is just way up there. I'm going to try to make this part of the video very painless, because I do want to jump into some video and not make this awful. I'm going to put timestamps, excuse me, as well in the description. This is like the third time I've tried to do this, because I've been trying to find decent gameplay on this and decent examples. This is just going to be the basics, so if you're not interested in like the kind of what I feel are the best add-ons, best perks, whatever, and you just want to jump straight to gameplay, there will be a timestamp for that, so you can go ahead and click that. But without further ado, we're gonna go. Oh my gosh, this is like I'm doing this on PowerPoint. I'm using phrases like "without further ado." I am taking you guys back to high school, wherever you want to go. Anyway, so just if for those that don't know, medium height. Height's important in this game to an extent. It works for mind gaming. You're not going to mind game people with clown and plague if you're moonwalking and stuff like that, because they're just going to see you. But you're not going to be doing too much moonwalking or anything with spirit. But just in general, she has 110% movement speed, which is 4.4 meters. Survivors run at 4 meters per second, I believe it is. So basically, think of survivors as like base survivor speed 100%. Spirit moves 10% faster. Base killers move what is it, 115%, so 15% faster than survivors. Makes a huge difference. It really means you have to be able to use this killer's power efficiently. Base phase speed, according to the wiki, is 176%, which I'm not too sure if I agree with that. It's possible when I consider charge time and how long it takes me to catch up. Maybe it is 176, and the charge time just, it buys the survivor a couple seconds of time. I don't know, but what is it? What else do I have to say? Base recovery. That's going to be another thing. That's 15 seconds. The duration is going to be 5 seconds. That's also in some tips. Best add-ons, and these are just kind of how I go. I believe movement speed is some of the best for utilizing the mobility. In a post-ruin meta where gens are getting done pretty fast, you want to cover the map. If you get maps like Ormond, Coldwind, you're really one of the few killers that can make good advantage of, or take good advantage of, your power to use as mobility. So Mother-Daughter Ring actually gets you up to like 220% movement speed while phasing, which is amazing. You can't see scratch marks, but as you progress with Spirit and get used to tracking, you're not going to need to see scratch marks. You'll be able to either hear them or play around Iron Will, or just be able to and just track them really well. I'm gonna butcher this. I think it's the Yakuyakoi amulet. This amulet used to be amazing. It used to have so many stats to it. It was honestly one of the most underrated items for a spirit. Um, Even just as good, in my opinion, as the old prayer beads almost. This used to give you bonus duration, bonus movement speed, bonus recovery speed, and I think like reappearance duration. It had like all benefits, no negatives. Now it reduces your base phase speed to 156 by itself, but increases your duration by double, by 5 seconds, and you'll see that when I explain the video. Still a really good item. That duration is amazing, and if you use it in conjunction with movement speed, it's going to be awesome. The shoes, again, movement speed. This is your out of phase time. So for those that don't know, when you're spirit, you phase. Once you get out of phase, you get a speed boost. Now they nerfed that a little bit as well, which that's fine. You get more of a wraith speed boost where it's just kind of for that 1 second, and it's a progression, kind of like slowly progresses and then back down. And it's not really slowly progresses, but I guess if you slow it down, like by frame, you probably does slowly progress. Pretty good. It's your reappearance duration and whatever, and the speed, I think it is. So when you get out of phasing, you get an extra little bit of distance when you move, which is actually a really good item. It's going to buy you free hits at loops. It's going to buy you a lot of distance as well if you're trying to make up because you had to break a pallet, for example. Temple Purgation has a pallet, a really good god pallet in the actual temple that you pretty much have to break. Otherwise, you have to go all the way around to get to the survivor. This is going to be recovery. Recovery is pretty good. Your base recovery is 15 seconds zone. If you're using your ability in burst and using it really well, recovery is not going to matter. I don't know how much it reduces it by. It's not too much. I think the lowest you can get recovery with add-ons I want to say I believe is like 10 seconds, so still not crazy. But it's still good if you want to consistently have your power. This is the brooch. I thought it was broach, but it's Brooch. So I'm saying it's brooch, or maybe that is how you spell broach, and I'm just an idiot. Probably both. Who knows? Charge speed add-ons are really good. Charge speed with like movement speed. I think charge speed takes 2.5 seconds to use it on base. So this cuts it down. It actually used to cut it down by so much more. Again, they nerfed a lot of the add-ons because Spirit had so many good add-ons. And then father-daughter glasses, good for tracking blood. If you're pairing it with the ring, that's fine. I don't use it personally, but I think it's a really good. It is a really good add-on that I just don't use. It's kind of like the amulet for me, where I didn't realize how good it is for some people, but the amulet was just obviously good for so many reasons. This is the talisman. I believe this is the one that does the activate. No, not activation. What's it called? One of these is passive phasing, and then the other here. I'm actually gonna. I have my spirit pulled up. I'm actually gonna click this really quick. Okay, so this one right here is going to be, yeah, the duration. My bad. So the duration, it increases it a little bit, not by too much. I've never actually double stacked duration, which is kind of crazy because I've done so many different things. And then this is the Katana Suba. Slightly increases your reappearance duration and reappearance speed. So yeah, still a really good item. Reappearance is really good. This is going to increase your passive phasing and your passive phasing duration. So the frequency of it and the duration. So survivors generally see you when you say you're moving and you're moving like this. You leave little silhouettes every like second or two that kind of like make Spirit seem like she's not as close as she is, which is really good for loops. It's a good add-on, but there's just so many better ones. Prairie beads used to be amazing. It's now everybody just knows, everybody gets to hear it, so it's not your phasing or whatever. And if you don't know, when you're in someone's terror radius, they don't hear your phasing, or they're not supposed to. It was actually bugged for a little bit. I don't know if it's fixed. It appears to be fixed because I'm still making some plays, but you could tell when it wasn't fixed because survivors just kind of knew. And unless Survive with Friends were like, hey, she's phasing now, go ahead and move. But that usually wasn't always the case. This is going to be movement speed, and I'm putting this only be yellow one. I'm putting B because I think movement speed is so dire here. So, and then these are just kind of the repeats of these, just with slider numbers, not as great. So those are kind of how I feel about the add-ons. You can use so many different combinations. Try them out. I'm not going to go over too many of that. Best perks. These are just perks you're just going to run. I run Pop Goes the Weasel on almost every killer. It's so good. In conjunction with like Thrilling Tremors and stuff like that, it is so good. And then we have like, these are just going to be your best perks right here overall. Even the ones in the B tier, these are going to be more situational. For example, if you're running Infectious, you need to have some sort of supporting build around it. Kind of the same with Surveillance. You want to be running probably maybe Ruin or something like that. Same thing with Discordance. Ruin's not up here. Ruin would probably be at the very back of A because I think Spirit can make value off of Ruin, especially with Discordance and getting two people off of a gen and still getting the regression without having to do anything. Try not to run Discordance and Pop, or not Discordance, Pop. Ruin and Pop. It can be very frustrating. It is not. It's definitely not useful in my opinion. It just you're not going to get as much value as you should, and you're going to run out of your perk. You're not going to have a perk for most of the game. I run Haunted Ground on most of my spirit builds, especially with Corrupt Intervention to force them off of gens. So they finally see my totem, and hopefully they see my totem before they realize they're playing against a spirit. Sometimes they'll break it anyway. Devour Hope's pretty popular, and unless someone sees two totems, they might not break it. And if they see two totems and they haven't figured out that I don't have Ruin, it could be Ruin and I'm running, Devout. You never know. That works. You have a really low terror radius, so you make good use off of nurses. You can capitalize off of barbecue. Strider is... I put it in A because Strider is just a really good counter to Iron Will. Now, I don't ever use Strider, but I will recognize that it is a very good perk on Spirit. Being able to hear anyone when injured especially is so good. Survivor breathing as well because the breathing increase is actually insane. So Sloppy's good slowdown. I'm all ears. Gives you a lot of information. It loops, kind of gives you an idea where you want to phase to. right before, so you kind of have an idea where they're running. Whisper is great tracking part, you know where they're at. Xenophobia, not big on it, but it's still useful if you want to run like a spirit slowdown build. Saves the best for last. Good. I like it on killers more so that have secondary powers that can down that don't take away stacks though, so you can hook your obsession without getting punished too much. Surge, still really good. I think it's a really good perk. You do kind of build around it, depending to an extent. Let's see. Surveillance pretty good. Spirit capitalizes off of that. Infectious fright. It just depends. You need to build kind of working around that, maybe with like monitor and abuse, which is pretty decent on spirit. But the thing with monitor and abuse though is with survivors when they're in your terror radius, not hearing you phase is really important. So a lot of times, what I do when I don't have this perk because I don't like it as much, I know where my 24 meters is to an extent. I'm pretty good with kind of where my terror radius is going to start picking up, and I try to get if I know they're on a gen, I'll try to get them on the outskirts of my terror radius and then phase so they can't really hear me, and so they think, oh, maybe he's just checking something else. So that's why I don't like monitor. Now I mean, you get to sneak up on people a little bit better, but I don't find it as great. And these are power conflicting perks. These are perks that you just should not run. You have the highest chase potential in the game right now, in my opinion, outside of nerfs. Um, just because you ignore a lot of pallets, you ignore base mechanics. You don't need to worry about getting stunned with enduring. And if you even have enduring, you better be running with Spirit Fury, and you're not doing that with Spirit. Okay, do not need to worry about those perks. Dedicating those two chase perks to a killer that has probably the second best chase in the game, it's just so counterproductive. Same thing with brutal strength. You're not breaking a lot of pallets. If you are breaking pallets, it's usually when someone's down, and it's a very safe pallet. Where the mind game is not as much 50-50 and the risk is higher, way higher than the general reward. So really long loops that you try to mind game. If you guess wrong, you lost time, you lost your power, you have to wait. And it's just frustrating. Bamboozle, same thing. You're not worried as much about windows. The other perks, you can kind of mix and match with the other ones if you have them. These are just what I feel are like going to be showing up in my spirit builds. So I have tips, and I don't know if I should cover all of these, but I'll just pop them up here. So you know the terror radius stuff. Um, make use of the mobility, utilize short bursts of your power, and also catching survivors out of position. Try not to phase if you have them zoned in a bad position. And what I mean by zoned is you find them hiding or kind of in the corner of a map, and say you see them, they're hiding behind a tree, and you're like 20 meters away, don't phase. If you have them away, even if they have sprint bursts, if you have them away from a loop or whatever and you zone them, you're gonna get that first hit so you can use your power. It's kind of like with Deathslinger. If you can get that M1, you're set up really well because you now have a power with range that you don't have to reload. Same thing for a lot of killers. If you can actually use their get that first hit or whatever, and then use your power secondary. So this is going to be common counterplay. So these are going to be the biggest ones. Iron Will is really amazing. So that's just going to require paying attention to scratch marks. And if you see scratch marks stop, be ready to just instantly turn around. And I'll have examples of that. Patches of grass as well are a big thing. Spine Shield is very tough. It's a good counter against the spirit. In and out of chase, of course. I think it works better against spirit sometimes than it does Ghostface. Just because Ghostface, at least, you know, the red stain, the stealth, and I compare it to that because that's a killer that also suffers a little bit to spine shield. You're also 110 movement speed, so if they take the advantage of knowing you're coming, they can just run away. Baiting your phase can be difficult. Now, survivors don't really do this. This is very uncommon. When you phase, the second that you turn from a survivor and try to go behind them while phasing, their spine shield actually won't light up until you're facing them. So if they see their spine shield go off at all when you're trying to bait a phase, which is just standing still, they can know that you're actually phasing. If they do play like that, which is, like I said, it's very rare, you can just phase, but stay where you're at when phasing, turn backwards, and then face them again to try to get their spine shield to light up and make them think that you're going. But again, baiting phases now is just kind of a waste of time a little bit now, in my opinion. But I'll get into that. If you're feeling cocky, if you're feeling like you got the hang of it and you want to have fun and you can ever get a clip of it, I think I've done this once. Backwards phasing is hilarious for spine shield. I've labbed with my friend and it does work. you're slower, and it's a waste of your power. If you're not running duration, it's a waste of everything. But phasing backwards to a gen that you know they're on when you know they have spine shield, it's hilarious. So I'd definitely say, you can try it if you want to have fun. I do not recommend it. I just put it in here because I thought it was kind of interesting to find that out. Leaving tiles immediately, a lot of times they won't from bait. They'll just leave the tile and gain speed depending on your add-ons, because a lot of times you can't make it up because you have to charge. So if you're baiting your phase and they leave, if they start to leave, it'll probably be a second or two before you react. And then it's another 2 seconds if you don't have add-ons, 2.5 or whatever, to charge your power, and then try to get to them. That can really kind of hurt you as you go forward. But we'll go into that in a second. Double backing, like I said, easy. Looking for blood or breaking scratch marks. You can actually do this even if you don't have Iron Will. You can double back against the Spirit, which is really weird. I still think console has an audio bug right now. I was playing against a rank 2 Spirit yesterday, and I don't know how I juked her the way I did without having Iron Will. But basically, I just ran my scratch marks left, right, and then cut this way and then back. I had a little bit of distance on her, so she tried phasing and making it obvious she was phasing, which you can't really do. Um, so I'm going to jump into this video because I want you guys to see kind of how we set this up. So this was a video my friend did. I had her loop me and whatnot, and we tried to do this and make this realistic as possible. So this is going to be some examples of common things that you're going to get as Spirit when you play. So we put it on Blood Lodge. So right here, so this also goes into some killer tips as well. So I have her run this. So if you notice, the big thing with Spirit, she's 110 movement speed, right? So it's kind of like Huntress. If you are trying to go for the M1, or you're Huntress without a hatchets and you don't want to go out of chase to reload and stuff like that, or you're Hag and you commit to a chase, dear God, please try not to. You want to hug this. And this goes for every killer in general as well, because there's longer loops that even 115 movement speed killers are going to lose on if you're not hugging this tight. So you notice how look I'm turning as I'm going. I'm just like flicking my analog stick to go this way a little bit. I think she runs this too far, or no, she doesn't. So I'm hugging it. I'm staying on this truck, and I get a lunge that I might not have originally gotten if I did not do that. So she's gonna use this. Well, she actually stays there. So we pretend to phase. Interestingly enough, when we pretend to phase, she actually falls forward pretty well. So we stand still because she stayed at this tile. She went that way. I'm going to flick my red stain that way, I think. But I think she thought I was phasing. So she tried to double back, which actually ended up hurting. So, and if you look at how long this chase has lasted from when I told her to start looping, we're at a good like 15 seconds of chase, right? So that's keeping in gen efficiency. And then right here, if I lunge, I hit her, but she has inner strength and a med kit. We're not trying to down too much. I didn't feel like wasting too much time. So normally we would hit there. And then we're going to look at a little bit on the double back. She did not have Iron with this game. That was the second game that we kind of worked with. So right here, you're going to see the break and scratch marks once she leaves. So this goes for any of them when you see scratch marks in. So I saw her run through the patch of grass. I stopped. There's nothing over here. There was nothing to my left. So she's either crouching or she's going back. So she ends up going back. So we continue to stay in our power. Notice the short burst. We're almost halfway to our power being fully recovered. Using the short burst is really good for guaranteeing a hit. Just in case you think a survivor might have sprint burst or something like that. It's a very good situation to be in right there. So let's jump into this. We have another loop here that we're going to go over a little bit. I'm going to try and roll through these as fast as possible because I don't want this video to be painful. So here we go. All right, so Tiff's my friend, by the way. She's a really good survivor. She's been ranked 1 quite a bit. So I've lost sight of her, and I have a video where I show that I don't utilize this very well, and that's what I'm going to cover in a second as well. So right here, this left side, pretty much a dead zone, right? Zoning is just forcing a survivor to go to the way you want. You can do it with pallets if you have to break pallets. If you're not a killer that can do this, there's another tile that's going to connect to more loops over here. So you don't want them going this way. So I'm trying to keep my red stain like right here. So I don't think she'll be able to see it right here. So, and she doesn't. So she sees I'm not going to chase her. I decide to bait this a little bit and then go over here, right? Which leaves her right in front of me because she doesn't see the red stain and it's spirit. So you're better at baiting this than other killers because it's not just a matter of, oh, are they moonwalking? It's a matter of they could be moonwalking, they could be using their power, and look, I just got a free hit and my power's up. So utilizing that to get my M1. So just a good example of how you want to play that there. Oh yeah, I think so what I do here, I forgot to tell you, probably should show this. I'm sorry. So what happens here? I forgot there's the end of this chase here. So she's gonna go to that loop. She's a little rusty, so she does kind of canvas loop a little bit. So I'm looking for here. I didn't hug that wall tighter. I need to hug that wall tighter, especially knowing I have scratch marks here. I'm kind of strafing too much. I move back so she doesn't see my red stain, and then I phase. This is going to be the biggest thing for Spirit, is phasing when you lose line of sight. It's amazing to do. And the more I do it, the more successful my chases have been. So I know if you possibly saw my stain or saw that I wasn't over here, so she's going to double back. She still has a pallet over here. I actually lose her right here. I'm assuming she's right here. Actually, no, do I lose her? Yeah, I lost her a little bit, and she actually lost me because I think, okay, yeah, so she had no idea where I was at that point either, so it ended up being kind of negative for me. I just got lucky that she misplayed that really badly, so thank you, Tiff, for doing that. So this is going to be another line of sight phasing. So right here, she's at the window. I'm going to stand still, bait a phase. She rolls left, and then she rolls back right. Okay, she tried to stop to walk and try to stop her scratch marks, but it wasn't going to work, obviously. I moonwalk, go over here. She vaults that. I'm going to stand still again, fake right, try to fake left, and so what I did here, and it might not look like it, because of the angles. So when you fake right, as they go right, they're going to double back, right? And then you pretend to go left to force them back, and then you vault. I actually do catch up to her because of this, but it was harder to tell. We know she's just going to run straight through. She's not going to take the window. Again, short burst of power. Keep in mind, we have our power still almost up. She tries to attack me here, which is a little disrespectful, but I appreciate it. We're going to roll to 925. This is going to be Jungle Gym. You have a really strong maps like these where you have open areas, you can see survivors. One of the big things is this. If you're on this map and you see, say, I don't know if my mouse is showing up on here, but say I'm chasing Tiff right here. I see her, and pretend there's like a survivor over here, or to the very right of me, all the way over there working on a gen or something. While I'm facing her, I can face her and phase and make it look like I'm still in the chase, and then bail out and go hit a survivor. It just depends on if you're willing to try to juggle these survivors, and if the hit's worth it, because this is kind of a dead area. So if there was someone over here that I saw, very much so worth it for sure. But she's gonna get over here. This is gonna be a jungle gym play, kind of. So we have a very favorable zone. She can gain distance this way if I make a mistake, she can just run straight because of my movement speed. But she's also kind of in a bad spot here. She needs to get to this jungle gym loop. She needs to get to this window just to even get out of here. So she vaults it. The mind game for this is a little bit better. So you probably don't want to face that way. You probably want to kind of be facing the middle. So what you're gonna do? So basically, that's all I had to do. She asked me what my totem was. She had no idea, but that's just an example of how you want to play that. Spirit's a little bit different. She can do this better than other killers. So if I had to make guides for the other killers, I'd have to make them a little bit different. So let's see. We're gonna use I think we use our phase here. So yeah. So we try to gain some distance here a little bit. We saw the grass brush right there. If you didn't see that, just in case, it's a good way to track when they're still healthy. So right here, you'll see it. Boom, right there. That's where the grass brushed to the right, and we get a hit there. She leaves the tile as we were gonna bait. She goes to the next loop, which is smart. Makes use of the sprint burst. We pretend to phase, and we actually catch her leaving here. Sadly, it is lodged though, so you do have to keep working for some mind games, but making her leave this tile gave us our power back as well, and got us a little bit closer. So She gets this pallet. She actually throws it down. We're going to try to bait again. Another strong zone. Fake that way. Break line of sight and then phase. And then I caught her behind me. So that's again the line of sight phasing. I'm telling you, line of sight phasing is the best way to play this. Wait for her to double back, go left, then phase. Be unpredictable as you can with your phasing. Survivors are going to adapt to your playstyle and guess how often you're baiting. If you're constantly baiting, they're just going to keep gaining distance on you, and you're just going to lose gens. Okay. So jumping into this part, this is going to be a good example of this. Alright, so this is the example I want to give though, because this is the green shoe add-on that gives you, I think, puts you at 190 something phase speed, and that's the duration that doubles it. This is just an example of how long the duration is. I believe it was 10 seconds if I'm not mistaken. So 1954 is where the video is at on this. So okay, so about 9 seconds. So she was at this tree. So anyway, let's go to 2020. So this is going to be a safe pallet. So the ones that map that we were just on didn't have too many safe pallets. This is generally a safe pallet against most killers. Very strong. We're hugging this kind of tight. We want to try to get that hit. We're not going to be able to get it. She hits me with the pallet. So instead of standing still, because once she's not looking, she'll eventually look behind her. But instead of standing still, because trying to bait a phase here just can lose you so much distance if she goes this way. I don't want to let her know I'm using my power right now. I'm going to go to the right. And she sees I'm not phasing, so I would eventually catch her. And then now I have her in this dead zone a little bit. Now, this is one of those pallets that you do need to break eventually, and if you break it, you want to zone them this way a little bit if you can, because if you make a bad mistake, there's still so much room and so much time that is going to be wasted, and she's not even injured. So I need a first hit here, so I try to zone her a little bit. I'm going to phase here now. I assumed that she was going this way because I didn't see any scratch marks. She might have stood still, which was pretty impressive if she did. I ended up catching her, though. I don't know how we end up doing this. So I noticed there's no scratch marks, and I know I have duration. So I'm playing what my add-ons have. I can afford to waste a little bit of time there. But realistically, I probably lose this a little bit. And then, boom, she actually slow vaulted to try to confuse me. Didn't work. And now we're going to jump to the shack play that I want to show really quick. Spirit's not really too hard, so this isn't like a crazy guy, but I will say I've seen people utilize their power very poorly and just feel like they have to always be phasing when it's up. So this was just another shack play that we did here. Let's see, where'd you go, Tiff? Alright, so we're gonna chase her at a decent distance here. So we moonwalk a little bit, we're gonna fake left, right? So we're gonna make her think that, so she'll double back, swing back. And while it might not look like I'm going to gain anything from this one, there's actually, look at how close she still was, even though I'm 110 movement speed, while she was making sure that I actually was vaulting. So even though the Spirit has a vaulting animation, you can still make these plays. I still have my power, and this actually gets me a hit. Look how close, like I would not have got this hit without zoning that way. And to be honest, I'm actually surprised I still got it, to be honest. I was like, it barely hit. But that's just another example, and a fun little thing you can do if you've ever played against head-on squads, you know you have head-on. I eventually figured out she did. I did this to her a couple times. So she throws down this pallet. Her scratch marks lead nowhere once I get over there. So once I've been head-on once, I'm gonna play a little bit like this. When I know you have head-on, I'm shaking my head. I'm gonna let you know that I know, and so I'm like, nope, okay, and I actually end up phasing in front of the locker, and boom. That's how you're gonna counter head-on relatively easy. Let me make sure this thing's still recording. Yeah, so we're at 30 minutes. We're not at a bad spot. So, God, that face. We gotta get this face out of here, guys. Get that out of here. So let's go back to downloads. Ignore all my massive amounts of porn. Let's see, 8, 9. My interpretation and understanding of deviance. It's a fun class. You should take it. You should come to where I live and take that class. It was very fun. So this was when Spirit first got her nerf. This was when Oni had just came out. You can tell I have like most of my killers not even, well, some are almost all are level 50. So still relatively new to the changes. So we actually get Temple of Purgation. So this is a map where you do need to make use of your power. You're not going to have a lot of mobility So we take our first hit here. Again, there's not really too many safe spots in this area, so we make a mistake here. So this was like, this was one of, I'm not gonna say I was newer, but I'm gonna say I was really out of playing Spirit quite a bit. A lot of survivors wheel camp the pallet or just try to hide. She did not know what to do, so we end up getting a free down. Nothing really fancy here. There is a moment coming up here, I believe. So we try not to go through that pallet because I don't trust this team. Let's see. Put it on here. Okay, so yeah, I think I know what happens here, right? Let's see. I had 8:30 marked as mine. Okay, so we know they're on that gen. They save instantly. Survivors. You have borrowed time. Okay, this is gonna be my biggest complaint. Overall, you have borrowed time, but that does not mean you have to unhook in my terror radius. Wait for the spirit to phase. Like, this is a big thing. Like, wait, just give it a second. You do not have to immediately unhook. I have barbecue. I'm about to go to a person across the map, and that's what most spirits are going to do. This is a big map. I need pressure. I need to find my next chase, and you unhooking right there just gave me 2 survivors that aren't doing anything, as opposed to me getting a new chase, and you can't even heal the survivor now. Stop doing this. Borrowed time. I hate that perk right now because everyone just assumes you have to use it when they're in the terror radius. If you're not using it when they're in the terror radius, it's like a dead perk, and people hate that. Please, a safe unhook without borrowed time is better than a hook with borrowed time when the killer is not proxying. It's just my frustration. So I hit her. If I had downed her, I was gonna slug her. I wasn't gonna tunnel her. I didn't need to. I do believe in strategic tunneling. If I had like 1 gen left and this is my first chase, obviously I suck as killer, so I'm gonna have to tunnel. But I don't there. I'm trying to see if she has borrowed time, mainly because she kind of ran into me to get the free hit from borrowed time, which was also kind of annoying for it to be an anti-tunneling perk. But I hate that they can just take a hit for a healthy survivor. That's just the killer main in me. I still think it's a good thing because it's a good strategy, and I hate good strategies with survivors. So we try to bait. We don't really have to bait this build. We don't have to phase. We don't have to do anything. So we hit him here. So right there, we probably did this too early. So he's still looking behind me, and he sees that I've stopped. What I should have done is waited. He's looking clear behind me. Right there, he was still looking. Maybe I did this at a good time. I'm running the charge speed add-on, by the way, so look how fast this actually goes. I should have probably made sure line of sight was a little bit more broken. We try to find him, and I actually lose him, but I find a David, so I guess that's a bonus. I mean, this is just a lot of misplays here. I probably could have hugged this tighter and found the bill, but he ends up going back here, so we hit a gen. Did we have pop? I don't know if we did. You can tell that this was like post ruin nerf because I'm still trying to make ruin work. And so, but it was gone anyway. We look for him. We don't get much information. Just I can't remember if he had iron will or not. I think he could have got to that pallet, but bills aren't the brightest. He actually DCs here, so this does give me an advantage. But this is like the 3rd hook I've had, I think. And they only got 1 gen done, and they still have someone injured, so I don't know how that didn't hit her, but that's just me. Bill's on the hook, so again, another thing, this is another thing, and this is gonna be like killer and survivor tips, okay? Please stop taking hits for survivors when you're not gonna get them off the hook, or off of my shoulders, and stop looping near a hook survivor. To be honest, this build might not be in DC because he's playing a spirit. He might just DC because of friggin' Nancy here. Stop looping next to the hook and then calling the killer a camper. Take the killer somewhere else, and don't like when three of you try taking hits and I still get the hook. I am now obligated to not leave the area. I need to know where everyone's at. I can't just say, "Oh, I'm just gonna let you get the safe unhook." I want to down you, so please stop doing that. This was a poor pretty poor thing by Nancy. She probably could have played that better. I don't know how she didn't play that. But so we're gonna phase here. I think this is one of the mistakes I made a little bit. So we try to bait her to leave this loop. So she does, and we broke line of sight. So that's gonna be the good thing that we do there. We break line of sight. We're trying to find her. So we just assume at this point with no scratch marks and nothing back here, we assume she's either walking back over or she's going to swim vault the window, which is what I think she ended up, thought she had done. I can't remember. She actually lost me here. Yeah, so don't know how she ended up over there. So she obviously double backed. She's going to a dead zone. I don't know if there was anything over through that way. Let's see. Was there anything like that way that she could have gotten? Not really. Yeah, that's a pretty dead zone there. So I don't know how. I don't even know how she ended up. She might have had quick and quiet. I can't remember this team. Haunted ground pops, and that's another thing with haunted ground is you really probably should leave chase if it pops sometimes. But since it came up early enough and I was able to get it down early enough, I can capitalize off a barbecue a little bit. Survivors will wait that out though, so you probably want to be in chase early if you can. We're gonna go to 11:28. This is another example. We try to bait him here. There's no point in that. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is kind of what this overall this just slows you down. This was something I shouldn't have done. This was just kind of my lack of understanding that there's nothing nearby. So I mean he's pretty zoned out. There's not much over here, and he just gets extra time to get to this loop. We phase again, assuming we have line of sight. He goes that way, so we know he's going to pop up either this way or over here, but he didn't fast vault it. There was no dust or anything, so we know. Wait for the dead hard, and boom, we're going to get that. Again, the jungle gym plays are so strong with spirit. People that can run these walls run them very well, and I've seen people get absolutely obliterated that play killer. So I don't have to fast forward anymore because 11:55 is apparently the next thing that I was going to go over a little bit of. So making use of barbecue here. I don't know. This is a little weird because barbecue's like what 48 meters or 40 meters. Like, I mean, is that really? That's really insane to be honest. That's kind of that range, and the fact that they still get to be highlighted is pretty cool. So we know our 24-meter terror radius. We are in there. They're in my terror radius right now. So we phase here. We're not gonna make. We probably should have got closer. Because we don't get too much use off of actually pulling someone off a gym, but that's fine. We get a free hit here. We know there's two of them, so but we're still. I think we commit to this chase. Yeah, we do. We commit to this chase a little bit. That was a pretty easy hit. Not much there to say. 13:20 is the next one. So again, we get the hit. She actually throws on the pallet this time. We kind of zone her away, but we take her to the wrong place. She just leaves, which is pretty smart. She has this pallet still up. I never broke it, so we're going to bait the phase. So she fast vaults the window. She either used quick and quiet before or didn't have it. So while she does that, we're going to go ahead and phase. We know where she's kind of going, and this is where she's actually going to do the fast vault, and then she's going to slow vault back if I'm not mistaken. So this was kind of a read I had a feeling that she was going to do because she had already been playing sneaky with the doubling back and going this way. So I just kind of assumed that she was going to do the slow vault this way. And she actually, I think she might have actually double backed. She did, didn't she? I was wrong. So I'm losing, like, you see how I'm moving, by the way? So that's another thing. Killer movement, guys. I'm just kind of moving around too much. I'm just backing and forth, and I'm not making sharp turns. I'm not flicking the analog stick. I'm losing a lot of distance, and that's why I'm not able to get these chases. She probably could have made that maybe, but she didn't make that one. I don't think there's anything else on this one. So this was back when I was ranked a little bit higher. Someone else DC'd. I hate it when someone DCs on hope, but I wanted to keep my rank. I'm just trying to rank up again. So, so let's see the perks that they had. So, one person brought a key. One person had lightweight, iron wheel, spine shield, good counter, spine shield, iron wheel again, decisive all around just about. So yeah, pretty basic. Pretty normal builds you expect to run into. So we end up using the reappearance add-on here, trying to make this go as fast as possible. So this group was absolutely awful. They actually almost catch me because they end up able to be in all healing. We were doing surveillance with Ruin to test it out. This group takes hits for each other. They just absolutely just awful survivor play for a very altruistic survival team. So we find the Steve here. This is probably the most embarrassing thing to ever have happened to me on stream right here. So we phase over here. And as I'm about to phase, they drop a pallet on my head, and that was so upsetting. So I usually stay in the middle of pallets so I don't give them an option. So I go to phase, boom, just get hit in the head with a pallet. Whatever. I'm so mad when that happened, dude. But I couldn't be mad at it though. That was amazing. So this is where we kind of try to mind game and see if we can't get our first hit a little bit. So we do. Jake pissed me off when he did that. So yeah, so we phase again. We baited it the first time. Now we're actually using it. We're not even going to attempt to bait it. We found the wrong person a little bit, so we get the Steve here. But again, not even hesitating to bait it the second time, just immediately using it. So here's our Jake. He's in a bad spot. I mean, we get him here regardless. But of course, Claudette's here to save the day. So we have 3 people not on gens and injured. So the pressure's going really well. Again, this is as soon as Spirit got nerfed. So this was like trying to get used to it. Again, blood pool there. Let's see. So we see he's back there. Pretty simple. He's a Jake. He probably had Iron Will. Blood right there, and then scratch marks. So we get him there. We're gonna down here, and let's see. 2305. We only have a couple more of these that really I feel like I did either misplayed or did well on. This is a very altruistic team, and again, look how far we are again with 5 gens still up. Ruin was doing some work. We phase a little bit, but we don't. He's in a kind of bad spot, so we don't need to phase as much. He had double backed earlier, and of course, Steve here to save the day. A very altruistic team that is going to lose so much efficiency. Another line of sight phase here, by the way. They have a lot to work with here. I knew he was in here. He plays this terribly. Throws the pallet down. He should have already been out the window. Should have already. That window is having that window with this pallet makes us a little bit better. Makes us much more amazing. So I still can't believe he didn't do that. I knew Steve was still in here. This is how I misplay this a little bit. I probably could have just kept baiting the phase. You know, like I could have just. Right there, he did that to bait me. He got me. He knows I'm going to phase again, so he goes through. Very smart on the Steve's play. That was very beautiful. Very good tactic there. I think he just vaulted the window. So we break this pallet because that pallet is technically really strong, even though it's unsafe. So we're at 26. Let's see where we're going to go now. 27, 25. All right. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, so I'm actually going to rewind this because this was, again, 1 gen done. I've had a lot of pressure here, though. I actually almost lose this match really badly. Free hit. I think we make up distance here. Do we make up distance? We get our power back pretty early. Make up a little bit of our distance now. We're phasing. We're looking for any grass or whatever. We find the that was a Jake. He was, or no, that was a Fang. She had sprint burst, but the Jake was the one that ran. I think he had dead hard, if I'm not mistaken. Fang had sprint burst. We try to get a line of sight, and this is what I'm talking about where I said earlier about knowing that there's another survivor behind you or near you and pretending to start a new chase. So she has sprint burst. She's already gaining distance. I try to out line of sight phase, but I really don't feel like going for her. I want to get one of these injured people down. I want more people off of gens. So I'm going to phase here and turn around. I don't think they expected this. But there's scratch marks, but I wanted to hit that gen and have surveillance pop back up for it. So we ended up losing. I probably should have followed them that way. It was pretty obvious. They only had one way to go, so that was definitely my fault on that one. We phase back to it. Do we actually get a hit? We use a short burst because we want to know where they're at because he hid well from me first time because I misplayed it, and then of course Claudette. Again, you over altruistic teams really hurt yourselves in these situations, you guys. And then I have 3. There's only 3 more clips, so I'll go to 30, 25. This is yeah. So I'm not sure what this Fang does right here. She really puts herself in a very bad spot. Once she's out of position, if you're not going for the save, you probably should have used it to go somewhere else. Do we short burst phase here a little bit? A little bit. So again, obvious scratch mark stop. She goes back. I still keep up most of my distance. I have half of my power ready. I do not know how this happened, but this Claudette is the ballsiest. Just, I mean, hats off to you, Claudette, for what you're doing. This team was semi-frustrating just from the altruism, but blinded me completely, even when I looked up. But she goes down for it. I don't think she had Iron Will. I think I was able to hear her, but we'll see. Where are we at? 30, 41. We try to track her a little bit over here. We have some scratch marks. We just use a short burst. We want to make sure when they're double backing, I'll use a lot of short bursts depending, especially if I have them in a decent area. And I have reappearance speed, which is really good. She goes down. Probably should have went for the Claudette that I just down since she ends up having Unbreakable. But we get the hook there. This is her first hook, so need to get rid of first hook survivors for sure or late game. Otherwise, they can just like take aggro really well. Steve's here. We try to bait him. He plays this pretty well. Yeah, I think he still gets here. Yeah, I eat that. I shouldn't have done that, but so we break it. He's gonna leave the loop. I don't think there's anything here, is there? Oh, we're almost at the next part of this. So we phase. Trying to find this Steve. There's some grass wiggling. Don't know. Okay, so he actually did end up going over here. I don't know how I made that read. That's a weird. I don't know if I heard him. It's a little bit weird going back over this without the audio. I know on the other video there was I could hear, and I know which ones I heard. So again, jungle gym play here. We tried to moonwalk it, which probably wasn't the best. So the biggest thing that I should have done, once we got here, so he's got Shack, right? So I just need to follow him. I need to follow him right here. My power's almost up. I need to follow him to the left, or bait going that way, so he'll go to the window. Because now he can just vault this, and if he needs to go to Shack, he can go to Shack. So, and he does. So this messes me up right here. Don't. There's an entire dead zone to work with. You don't want to be. You don't want to be in the dead zone unless you put them there. So that was my fault. That's going to cost me some time there. I'm really baiting this poorly. I'm giving him free Shack basically. He's gonna make this. I thought if I had lunged earlier, I think I get that. So we pretend to phase. Okay, don't judge this. This is awful. Again, this is a video of me showing most of my mistakes. I end up getting 3 kills in this match. I promise. I should have known he was camping the pallet. I don't know if I wanted to see if he could hit me while phasing or not. But definitely running. He just ran in circles, kind of keep his scratch marks inconsistent, which was smart. And here, boom, smacks me with a pallet. I also found out you can hear the spirit while she's phasing her footsteps. So my friend Tiff actually got hit on me quite a bit when we tried that tech I showed where I phased him. What's it called? Should have stayed over there and downed him probably, but we also have 2 gens. If he's hurt, we need to probably get some pressure. Yeah, that should have hit. Let's see. I messed that up really badly. Okay, let's see. 36. So this is the last part of this video. So a lot happens. We get some hooks. Oh, no, this was just me showing off. So let's see. Again, that was the. Oh God, why is that so choppy? Bad video. Bad video. Oh, she had metal. Did she have metal, man? Hold on. Okay, so see if we can't pause this. Boom. All right, here we go. So was that the Claudette? One of them had Claudette had Unbreakable, so I think that was her. So the Unbreakable Deliverance. That's the Fang Man with Spine Shield. Yeah, okay. So she has Spine Shield and Sprint Burst, which is really good. Breakout and Metal. Man, that might have been Steve though. So really good. I guess that's a really good combination for what he was trying to do. Extra healing efficiency from self-care with botany. So a very different take on the altruism there. I guess that early borrowed time. Oh wait, no, that was another. Yeah, never mind. Ignore that. So yeah, 1 iron wheel. That wasn't the Jake. I don't think. Pretty basic. I don't think we got hit with any decisive. So yeah, we slugged when we needed to. So we end up getting ruthless. But that's overall how you play a lot of these when you're playing Spirit, you guys. It's definitely one of the most rewarding killers and whatnot, and she still feels overpowered to an extent, but not as what she used to be. So I think she's okay where she's at. There wasn't really much that I did there. I'm just going to show you a couple of fun little builds to kind of do, I guess. Ignore the tier list and stuff, but so if you're going to try to use Ruin, because I do enjoy trying to make Ruin work occasionally, not always, it's not, it's horrific. I'll use speed add-ons, Discordance, Ruin, let's see, I use Corrupt to force them to possibly work on the same gens together, And I usually go barbecue, which works pretty well. So that helps you push 2 people off the gen, which is good because 2 people on a gen is 44 seconds without skill checks, and then 1 person on a gen is 80 seconds. So a lot better there. I run corrupt on most of the builds. You can run corrupt if you're trying slow down builds for like actual healing if you're trying to make use of it. I actually end up using Monitor and Abuse with Infectious Fright, Sloppy Butcher, and Corrupt. But if you're not looking for gen slowdown, I do usually run Pop in most of my builds now as well. You run these 3, and then you run Haunted Ground, which is good if they pop Haunted Ground. Very high risk, high reward there because sometimes they might not pop it, especially if they know you have it. And if you're running Sloppy, you can possibly run Thanatophobia. If you're new to Spirit and you have the perks and stuff, and you want to kind of get used to the tracking and stuff, 100%. Here's what I recommend. You're gonna run I'm All Ears. You're gonna run either Pop or Corrupt if you have that choice. So one of the 2 right here, right? And so you have 2 more slots left. You're gonna run Strider, so you have that counter. And you're probably going to run Barbecue and Chili to get more information so you know where you want to go with Pop. If you run Corrupt, you're probably not going to want Barbecue and Chili. You're probably going to want maybe even Thrilling. I'm not sure. Maybe Haunted Ground or Discordance if you're trying to constantly know where survivors are, or Nurses. Again, you have a good terror radius for Nurses calling, so you can run that. What I think is one of the best builds on Spirit right now, probably Pop, not Barbecue, because I feel like you can get a lot more information sometimes off of Thrilling. I'm gonna run these. I run those 3. Can I actually run? Do I usually use Corrupt or Barbecue? No. I'm using Thrilling, so no. It's Corrupt, I think, which seems a little overboard, but Spirit can throw in some gem protection stuff and get some early pressure quite well. So that's the build that I'm going to run with that. I don't recommend running Surveillance with Pop because you're not going to be hitting gens too often anyway. And if you're hitting a gen with Pop, you don't really care if they get back on it, even if it was something like a almost done gen. When you regress at 25%, that should be enough. I think that's like 20, ends up being 20 seconds, right? Something like that. Yeah, 20 seconds. So that's an example of that. If you want to dedicate to a full just non-gen, you're running movement speed add-on with like a recovery add-on. The Make Your Choice, let's see, with Make Your Choice, you want to be benefiting from it, so you don't want to be having to kick gens unless you have to. I find this build really interesting here. And that's going to be Corrupt Intervention to force them closer, to get them to try to look for your totems, hopefully before they know your Spirit, maybe cleanse something early. Surge for the hit and just regressing the gens around you. That way you don't have to worry about kicking gens that are in your area. And Make Your Choice, because you don't want to be kicking it. For example, if you didn't have this and you're kicking a gen, you don't want to be kicking your gen when Make Your Choice is active. You want to be able to get back to the hook. So those are the builds. This is just a general kind of tips on not only how to main Spirit a little bit, but also just playing Kill a little bit more efficiently, paying attention to time. Like I said, that video I showed where I actually played against people was the Spirit nerf. I still feel that she's in a great position. She's one of the best killers in the game. So if there's any guides on any people, feel free to comment and let me know if you want a guide on someone. I won't do Trapper and I will not do Billy. There are better guides out there. Tofu is amazing with Billy, and Otsdava is the best Trapper player. So I'm not going to try to even give advice on them, and I also do not play those killers. So I play them occasionally just for fun, randomly, if I want to try and get better with them. But these guides take a little bit to come out because I want to make sure that I'm testing everything and doing a lot of matches to make sure I play them to the best and can give you guys some tips and stuff. So if this helps, please leave a like. If there's any killers that you want to see used in the future or any builds, feel free to comment and I'll try to work on it. I've been enjoying Oni a little bit more. I love the Death Slinger. Might even try to do some stuff with the Death Slinger. I think he is just absolutely fun killer. So let me know if there's anything that you guys would want to see as far as builds or as far as killer guides. And I think this is going to be it. So I appreciate you guys for watching. I'm going to put timestamps in the video. So And thank you, and I will see you guys for another guide, hopefully here soon. This took a lot of time, and I appreciate you guys.